What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So first of all, I want to say, obviously, I'm not filming in my normal location. I'm in a friend's house, and they have cats, and one of them has a bell. So if you hear jingling, that's what that is. I can't control the cats because they're cats, and they do what they want, and we can just go shove off. Anyways, let's talk about the game today because it was a little frustrating. Now, here's the thing. I get the fact, yes, it's not a normal lineup. You know, the back line is really young and experienced. You know, James is the most experienced out of the back three. Kepa's in goal. Hudson-Odoi and Alonso haven't been getting a whole lot of playtime recently. Saul and Kovacic. Saul obviously has not been playing a whole lot. And then the front three, Barkley, Ziyech, Havertz, bit of a makeshift. So I get the fact that, yeah, it's not our normal lineup. It's not our first team. So I get the fact that it's going to be a little off. It's not going to work together very well. You know, not all the passes are going to connect. Not all the defending is going to be pretty because, you know, it does take some time to get used to playing together. But my problem isn't with that. My problem, again, as with most of the issues I've had so far this season, is the work rate. You know, I look at the Man City game where we lost. We didn't really work ourselves that much. We just sat back. We didn't push. We didn't look to move the ball a lot. It was just sit back and just kick it and hope. Juventus, you know, we had so much possession, but we didn't do anything with it because we were just kind of standing around and watching and waiting. And then Juventus, whenever they won the ball, boom, they'd hit us. You know, the game against Brentford, the second half, the reason why I was so frustrated watching it is because it was lazy. You know, Brentford are pressing and pressing and pressing and winning every single second ball because we are not turned on and ready to play. So if we go into this game against Southampton and Southampton just play better, they move the ball better, they move the ball quicker, and that's why they gave us so much of a challenge and that's why they score that goal, whatever. The problem is that it wasn't down to the talent on the field. It was down to the work rate on the field. They outworked us again, just like Brentford did, just like Man City did, just like Juventus did. We're getting outworked. And I don't know why that's a problem. Because we have enough talent to match anybody. Even our second team has enough talent to match Southampton and better them. But we're not playing like it. We're playing slow, we're playing dull. It's one man on the ball and then 10 men standing around saying, hey, pass it to me. I know I'm on my heels waiting for the ball to come to me, and the defender that's 2 feet away from me is probably going to beat me to the ball, but pass it to me. And that's all it is, defending. It's one man on the ball while everybody else just stands around, and then they pass it to the open man. The guy that should have been marking him is like, oh crap, that's my man. Steps to him too late because he's already found his pass because he's had time to react and figure out what he wants to do. And it's a lot of that throughout the game, the whole game. Now, I'm not saying that that was all of it, because clearly there were moments when we turned on the class, we turned on, you know, the good work rate finally, and we did see some good ball movement. We saw some good passes, we saw some good 1-2s. There were moments where we showed, hey, we can move the ball well, we can work well together, we can work as a team, and we can work hard. The problem is, it didn't happen nearly enough, which is why Southampton had so much joy throughout most of the game at our place. And I don't understand that. You know, from Tuchel's point of view, how can you take this team that has so much talent, and honestly, I mean, we pretty much dominated the first half. They didn't really create much in the first half. They had a few moments where they got forward, but for the most part, they didn't do much in our half. Now, granted, we didn't do much in their half, but a lot of that was down to we don't have enough up front. You know, you've got Barkley and Ziyech, both of which are just not good enough. Ziyech, you know, he has the potential to be good enough, but Barkley is Barkley. Then Havertz up front, again, he's not a number 9, he's not a striker, and it shows with his runs, the runs he makes whenever we get the ball near the box. He's not making runs that a striker would make. Hence why he's not really ending up on the end of a lot of crosses. His best play came from when he was stepping deeper like he normally does in his normal position. So it's a game where it should feel a little weird. It should feel a little not really sure what to expect because we got a bunch of different players. But what I don't want to see is we start the first half, we do okay, but I want to see some changes. I want to see Tuchel get into him in the halftime and say, hey, it needs to step up a little bit. We need to improve. But I didn't see that. I saw we come out in the second half and immediately turn off and let them get a goal. And then the rest of the half is just, turning it on for a little bit. We have about 3 or 4 minutes where, it's looking good. And then for next 10, 15 minutes, it's Southampton just attack, press, and we're just sitting there going, I don't know what to do anymore. I could be running right now, but I'd rather jog. And it's just not, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not what I want to see at a professional level. From a top-level team like Chelsea, we should not be getting outworked by a team like Southampton. Especially when you do have a team of players that are on the fringes. These are the players that should be busting their butts because they want to get into the first team. They want to get a chance to play. And there's a lot of players out there that I'm watching and going, this is why you're not starting. This is why you're not in the first team, because you're not doing enough. So that's my whole frustration. Obviously, glad we do get the win. Glad we got lucky and won again on penalties. I don't know if maybe Kepa's playing for that, because there were several moments near the end of the game where he's on the ball and he's just standing on it. And I'm thinking, why are we wasting time when we're not winning at home against Southampton? That's not when you waste time. You waste time when you're 1-0 up in the later stages. I don't know why he plays for it, because he's not really that good of a penalty kick stopper. I know he's made the most saves, but it's not really him. He guesses a lot. It's just sometimes he guesses right. But most of the time he does not. And the penalty kick shootout again today showed he's not really that good, because he guessed one of them right. The other 4, he guessed wrong. Luckily, another guy skied it, so he didn't matter which way he guessed. But, he had the ultimate embarrassment done to him where he dove out of the way of a shot placed right down the middle. And in my opinion, that's super embarrassing for a keeper. Because you just essentially said, let me get out of the way for you. That's how I see that type of penalty. If they put it right down the middle and you dive out of the way, that's embarrassing for you. That's why, I've talked about this before. I always tell the keepers that I coached, don't guess. Wait and react, because if they put it down the middle, you screwed up. But if you wait and you react and they put it in the corner, that's just a good penalty. You're not going to save that normally. So I can't stand whenever people rave about how great of a penalty kicks keeper he is, because he's really not. He's made the most saves probably because he's faced more penalties than most of the keepers at our club have, because we typically don't go to penalties. We're typically a team that wins. But whenever he's in goal, we, for some reason, end up in a penalty kick shootout. I wonder why. Maybe it's because he's letting in goals. Anyways, so that's kind of my rant about today. But let's talk about individuals. First of all, I will talk about Kepa. Just as far as his overall play is concerned, disregarding the penalty kick shootout, it was okay. He made some good stops at the end. He had some moments where he came up big on the crosses. But the goal is just, it's another example of he doesn't really have it. He doesn't have that super shot-stopping quality that we want at a club where we need world-class players. The fact that he comes out and so easily gets megged like that, it's not good. Whenever you come out and you shut down the angle, you should shut down the angle. It's very rare that a keeper at the club like Chelsea should get beat from that angle. And yeah, Kepa does. And let's be honest, it would happen more than once in a game if that situation did happen a lot. So I know it's not like he made a huge mistake or anything for the goal, but I look at that quality, I look at that technique that he has, and it's just not good enough. I think about the fact that we're going to be without Mendy for however long because of the African Cup of Nations, and I'm just thinking, this is what we're going to have. This is our backup. a guy that gets megged at the near post to give up a goal. That's not good enough. So, I am glad that, he came up with some good saves. I'm glad that he managed to save one in the shootout. But I still don't have a whole lot of hope that he's going to do well for however many games he's going to play while Mendy is out. I'm not confident that he is going to save us like Mendy did in the Brentford game. I don't see that happening. So that's just where I am on him. My opinion's still the same. Some people may think I'm being negative or pessimistic. I don't care. The back line, like I said, very young. James, Chalobah, Sarr. Start with Sarr, because this is 2 games now where I watch him and I think he's not good enough for the Premier League. Just overall, he's not a terrible defender. He's okay. He's decent. But he's the worst defender at the club. Now, that's not really a bad thing, because we do have a lot of quality, high-level defenders. But he is the worst defender we have at the club. And what's worse, on the ball, he's not good. There were so many moments today where it just looked like he didn't know what to do. Like, he looked lost on the ball. The ball would come back to him, and he'd either get it poked off of him, he'd kick it out of bounds, or he'd just somehow struggle into and get lucky and get a foul called for him. That's basically all that happened. He never once, you look at what Rudiger, what Silva, what Azpilicueta can do on the ball, what Christensen can do on the ball, Chalobah sometimes can do on the ball. The ability to get out of a difficult situation, the ability to wriggle out of a tough challenge and say, okay, this defender's pressuring me, it's fine. I have this option, I have that option, and I can also turn him if I want to. Sarr looks like he has no idea what he wants to do. And it just suddenly becomes a dangerous situation when he's getting pressured at all. And teams press high in the Premier League. So overall, I just don't think he's quality enough. And again, he's here, he's getting time, and we've sold Tomori, we've sold Zuma, we've sold Gehi, all players that are playing at the top level and doing well for their clubs, while Sarr is getting, obviously he's not playing a whole lot, and he's not going to be playing that much. He's just getting time in, these few games here and there where, coming back from international break with COVID restrictions happening, or a game in the Carabao Cup. He's not going to be playing much outside of that, but still he's an option that we have instead of a better option that we could have held on to. So, I don't know. I get frustrated watching him because that's all I can think of. It's like watching Havertz have to play a false 9 when I watch Broja scoring for Southampton at the weekend. I'm thinking that's what we could have as a backup, but instead we're having to turn to a non-striker to fill the striker role because that's what we've done to ourselves. We've shot ourselves in the foot. Chalobah in the middle of the back 3 again, I don't think that's his natural position. I don't think he's the type of player that can read the situation well and deal with it, like Christensen and like Silva can do. But he did okay today. It's not like he played poorly. It's just I feel like he can sometimes forget what his role is back there, to be kind of the one that sees everything and sort of directs the play. And he did get caught stepping out a couple times and left us a little exposed in the back. James, he's not really had many issues defensively. My issues with him have really just been his work rate up and down the wings. So playing in the defense today, he did fine. Good challenges, good in the air, on the ball. He's very solid, of course. My biggest issue still with him is there are times when he's turned off when the ball's not near him, but of course that was everybody today. So it's hard to single him out for that whenever everybody is doing that today. But it's something that has been in his game for several games now, where he's just not involved, the ball's not near him, and so he's turned off, and then suddenly the ball is near him, and now he's got to react, and he could be a little too late. So it's just something he's got to get himself focused. Even when he's not involved, he's still got to be focused and turned on and ready to play. But overall, he did okay. In the middle, Saul and Kovacic. Saul had some moments today, good and bad. He had some better moments today. He showed some of his quality, had some good shots, won some good headers. Honestly, I didn't know he was good in the air, but he's got a decent leap on him. But defensively, too easy to get turned, not good enough putting in a challenge. He's too weak sometimes. On the ball, some of his passing really leaves a lot to be desired. There's just too many gaps in his game. And he can still grow. He can still get better. But I watch him play and I'm thinking he's not good enough. Thankfully, he's only on loan, so it's not like Sarr where we brought him in to fill up the gaps and he's not good enough. This is more of a we're going to try him out and see if he's good enough. And right now, I don't think he's quality enough to play in the Premier League. He's good in La Liga. He's good whenever it's not hard hitting and challenging, kind of like Jorginho. But I don't know. I don't see him really providing us much. The only thing that he provides that none of our other midfielders really do is his ability to strike from outside the box. Kovacic, he can sometimes, but most of the time they're terrible shots. Jorginho hardly ever shoots from outside. Conte did like one time and it was brilliant, but he's not that type of player either. So he does look like he can actually strike a quality shot from outside the box whenever it falls to him, but that's not enough reason for me to say I want to see him in our midfield because there's just so much more to his game that he doesn't have that hurts us. Kovacic was the best player on the field, and that's good for him because he's not been that good so far this season. He's been pretty poor, pretty lackluster on the ball, which is typically what he's really good at. His work rate has not been fantastic. Defensively, he's been beaten way too many times and too easily. So it was good today to see he improved. He got better. His work rate was a lot better. He was moving the ball a lot quicker. He was wriggling out of challenges a lot better. Overall, it's just more the typical Kovacic performance that I expect to see. So that was good. Barkley, what's funny is he did start the game decent. And when I say decent, what I mean is on the ball. Again, he has quality. He has quality when he can get on the ball. The problem is, when he's not on the ball, he is worthless. And that's why at Aston Villa, he faded out of the team. When he was on loan last year, it was him and Grealish kind of running the show early on. And then slowly Grealish became more the focal point. And when Barkley's not the focal point, when he's not the one on the ball, guess what? Barkley is not involved. Barkley is invisible. Barkley is Drax. He's doing nothing. And that's what we saw again today. When we were moving the ball to him and when he was the focal point of our attack and getting it forward, yeah, he can do fine. He's fine on the ball. He's got a good touch. He can pass it well. Most of the time he shoots pretty well. But we start moving the ball to the right side away from him. We start getting it down the line to Hudson-Odoi instead of him. We start moving it around that's not near Barkley. Suddenly Barkley's just nowhere to be seen. And I didn't see him for a good chunk of the game. So it's like Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek, I've said this before, when he was here a couple years ago, when we first saw him step into the team, I think it was Sarri that gave him his first few chances. He looked great on the ball. Whenever he would get it deep, he could run at players, he could take them on, quick little in and out, cut them. Brilliant, just holding onto the ball and dribbling at players. That was all he had. He had nothing else to his game, and when he wasn't on the ball, he was useless. Defensively, he wouldn't work back, he wouldn't help out. When we were in the attack, if he wasn't on the ball, he was just kind of jogging up, he wasn't really giving an option, and that's what Barkley is right now. The problem is that Barkley is later on in his career than Loftus-Cheek was, because that was Loftus-Cheek young, and now he's kind of getting into his I think he's in his mid-20s now. So he's at that point where it's like he's starting to finally grow into his main career. Barkley's already nearing the end of his career. I think he's like 28 now. So he's only got a few more years before he's in his 30s. And this is what he's got. And it's nothing. It's not giving us anything. It's not benefiting the team. And I don't see a player like that, a player who's in it for themselves and not for the team. I don't see them doing well at a big club. Honestly, I've not heard a whole lot about Grealish since he's gone to City. I know he's had a few games. I think he's had a couple goals where he's done okay, but everybody expected him to go there and just dominate. Sancho going to Man U, when he was the main focus of Dortmund's attack, when he was the one running down those wings and taking on people, yeah, he was flying in the German league. And he comes to Man U, and guess what? You're not the focal point anymore. You're not the star. You're just one of the guys. You're just one of the attack, and that's it. I just don't think players like that are built to succeed at big clubs. I think they do much better when they are the star at their club. So it's a bit of a rant, but it's just something I wanted to get off my chest about Barkley because I'm a little sick of seeing him. Ziyech, bad touches, bad first touch, bad passes, not enough. And it's sad because we've seen his quality before. We've seen what he can do on the ball. He is very good. People call him a wizard because honestly, it seemed like he was a wizard. It seemed like he was very clever. He could make things happen. His crosses, his shots were brilliant. He had such a beautiful left foot to hit with. And now it's just nothing. I mean, I can't count how many times I've seen ball comes up and he's receiving it with his back to the goal, defender slightly behind him, and instead of doing something with it, he takes a touch that goes about 20 yards that way, away from the goal, behind the midfield, and now all of a sudden we are behind all 10 men of the outfield players because of Ziyech's terrible first touch. I don't know how, with as much talent as he has, I do not know how he can have such an awful first touch. But he does. And it's killing him right now. He cannot hold on to the ball because he can't receive it and do something with it because as soon as the ball comes to him, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have possession. It's free ball and he has to go chase it. So that already is frustrating enough. But again, when he does finally get on the ball, when he does actually receive it and not lose it with his first touch, he doesn't do anything with it. He's got so much talent. He's very clever, but he's not using that anymore. He's making bad decisions, and it constantly hurts us because he gives the ball away and it starts a counterattack for the other team. Because most of the time he's not giving the ball away like he had a shot and it's going out for a goal kick, or he's tried something clever and a defender's won it deep. No, he's passing it into a defender who's receiving it and going that way toward our goal as we were just getting up in the attack. That hurts us. So I don't know why. I don't know what changed. I don't know if the injury affected him and if he's just not the same player because he had dealt with that injury for so long. But I'm getting frustrated watching him play now. Whenever he plays, I get frustrated with him. I get frustrated watching him because it's so bad. And we should not be that bad. We should not have a player that bad on our team. But he hurts us whenever he's on the field. So with Mount coming back in and dominating over the weekend and Hudson-Odoi stepping it up, even Havertz, when he's not in the 9 position, he's been playing better. I just don't see room for Ziyech. When Pulisic comes back, he'll probably want to step into the team too. And right now, based on Ziyech's performances, I would give Pulisic a chance to see what he could do before I would give Ziyech a chance right now because I've seen what he can do right now. So, finally, Havertz. Like I said, he's not a 9. I've talked about why he's not a 9 today. Again, we saw a lot of it. Obviously, he got the goal, but it's from a set piece. So defenders score set pieces, not 9s. So people are going to use that argument and be like, what are you talking about? He's not a 9. He scored today. See? Tell me when he scores, when he's playing in the 9 position. Let me know when he scores from a run of play where he makes a good striker's run and he gets in because he doesn't do that when he's playing there. But, it does really get frustrating, though, because he's not the only one. Ziyech was doing it quite a few times today, too, as well. That run that takes you right beside the defender. Because, the defender's going to follow you, but you should be doing something to put the defender off. That's what Timo does. He makes those runs that's just in and out. He's moving. He's getting in behind them. I don't see that from Havertz. I don't see that from Ziyech. Honestly, I don't see it from Lukaku a lot either. But that run that puts the defender off, I don't really see that from them. Because it's just a straight line. The defender's here. The goal is here. Defender's here. Havertz is here. Ball's over here. Instead of breaking in behind or even cutting in behind them to receive, it's just ball's here, looking to cross, and he's just running alongside them. And that's easy to defend. If you just run in a straight line, like kind of towards the goal, that's easy to defend. If there's no loop to it, if there's no dart to it, it's so easy. And that's why he's not a 9, because he doesn't have that sense of when to make the breaking run, when to cut to throw the defender off, how to curl his run so that way he's not offside. It's stuff like that that he doesn't really have in his game, and that's why whenever he's a 9, we struggle to create chances. We did some today. We did work the ball well, but it's not because he was making great runs that strikers would make. It was because we were moving the ball well. And that's kind of an issue because we need somebody in there. That's why even though Werner doesn't score a whole lot, his runs cause so many issues for the defense that it opens up these chances that most of the time we can finish. Even if it's not him finishing, it opens up chances for somebody else. And I don't see Havertz doing that. I don't see him doing anything that will help the players around him to create a chance. So that's why I don't think he played poorly today. I think he worked hard. I think he gave as much as he could, but he's just not the right player to have there. Now, do we have a right player to play there? I don't know. Without Werner and Lukaku, I don't know if we have somebody that can fill that role. But I also feel like we need to change our style of play if we don't have a true striker there, because we still try to play the same way. We still try to play those balls through as if we have a true 9 striker in there, and that's part of why it doesn't work when Havertz is in there, because we're not set up to play that way. We don't have the players for it. So as far as the subs that came on, that was something that I did want to talk about that I forgot earlier. So I'm going to talk about it now. Subs-wise, I didn't mind seeing Mount come on and Chilwell come on because it did give us something a little different. Mount and Chilwell come on for Barkley and Ziyech. So now you've got Mount and Hudson-Odoi playing in behind Havertz, like against Norwich, and Chilwell has become your right wing back, which I thought Chilwell played well, and I thought Mount worked hard. Neither of them actually changed the game much. They just gave us some fresh legs in those positions and a little bit more quality in the final third, which is why we did create some better chances near the end of the game. Because instead of Barkley and Ziyech, it was Mount and Hudson-Odoi in behind Havertz. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, we want to win this game. I think a lot of people would say, yeah, Carabao Cup's not that important, but we still want to win. We still want to win every game that we can. And in this situation, I'm thinking, why are we not using all 5 subs? We have 5 available subs in this competition. Why are we not using all 5? Why did we use 2? Especially when you've got Sarr playing how badly he was playing, Saul giving the ball away constantly. I didn't talk about Alonso, did I? I just skipped over the wingbacks. I'm all over the place. But to finish my thought on the subs, just no other subs. No bringing on Silva to shore up the defense a little bit. No bringing on Jorginho to provide a little bit more calmness and a little bit more, consistent passing in there. Nothing. No changes, just fresh legs. That's pretty much all we got. Better talent than what we had. Better than Barkley and Ziyech. But nothing to actually adjust how we were playing. So it was still playing the same way, which is why we were still so open. And there were still a couple players that were hurting us that were still left on the field. So I don't understand that decision from Tuchel not to bring on a little bit more. Honestly, Harvey Vale was on the bench. Would have liked to see him. If it's not about winning, which clearly it wasn't because Tuchel only made 2 subs. So if it's not, then why not give Vale a chance to see what he can do? But instead, no, we just went with 2 subs and we eked out a shootout win. I don't get it. I don't understand. If it is about winning, why didn't you make more changes? If it's not about winning, why didn't you give your youngster a chance? Either way, it doesn't make sense to only make 2 subs when you've got 5. So anyways, back to the wing back since I forgot to talk about him. Hudson-Odoi on the right side looked okay. He worked hard. He was up against Genipo, which is a pretty good matchup, honestly, because both of them are pretty quick and both of them are a bit more attack-minded. So it was kind of interesting to see an attack-minded left wing back against an attack-minded right wing back. So I thought that was a pretty fun little battle that they had. For the most part, he did well on both sides of it. I did feel a little bit bad for him because there were times that he was very isolated on the right side because he didn't have help because Again, Havertz and Ziyech both making runs right alongside the defenders instead of cutting back and checking for a drop or anything. So his only real option was to just take on Genipo one-on-one. And, he did get the better of him a couple times, but for the most part, he was just sort of stuck out there with the only option being to either cross it or to drop it all the way back to James, who was most of the time under pressure as well. So, but he did okay. Didn't fade as much in the second half, which is good because that's something that he tends to do from time to time. And especially when he got put up into the front three, he still kept working hard. He still kept pushing and stayed focused throughout. So that was good to see. Alonso, did okay. He worked hard, but a little too slow for today because Walker Peters was just burning him for pace almost every single time. Whether he was on the ball or whether he was chasing back defensively, he struggled to keep up with the pace. The only thing that I'll say to defend that, though, is, again, Sarr was not really doing much to help because he's lost when it comes to keeping possession. I don't know if he hasn't done that for his club before, but we're a club that tends to keep a lot of possession in the back, and our defenders know how to show and give options and keep the ball. So when Alonso is stuck on that left side and he's being pressured and he looks back and Sarr's not really giving him an option, I do kind of defend Alonso in that respect. So there were a couple times he lost it, but I feel like he didn't really have good help. But yeah, today I just don't think it was a good game for him because of all the pace that was on that side. I don't think he was able to keep up with it as well. I wanted to see a bit more from him in the attacking third, though, because typically that's what he's good at. But for some reason today just didn't really have it. And then, like I already said, Chilwell and Mount, both of them played well. Chilwell had some good defensive challenges on the attack. Didn't really give a whole lot. He did start a couple of our moves, but for the most part wasn't really, I guess, involved in our attacking movements. But he did okay and he worked hard. Mount did provide fresh legs up front, and his movement is just something that we honestly could have used a lot earlier in the game because I think they waited until like the 65th minute or something. It would have been nicer to see it earlier so that way Southampton's defense had to cope with him for longer. But he's just a player that he's always dangerous when he's out there because he's constantly in motion, and you can't just stand to defend him because he's all over the pitch. So it's hard to defend against him. And he works hard on both sides of the ball too, so that's always a benefit. But all in all, I mean, good to win, good to move on to the next round because it's another game that gives us a chance to, I guess, keep some of these players that are not in the first team, keep them fit, keep them playing so they're getting game time. Because that's what some of these tournaments are good for. However, it's another disappointing home performance. It's another performance where I feel like we just weren't working hard enough. We weren't really playing 110%. It was 50, sometimes 20%. And when you've got a team like Southampton that want it more and they give their all and they push, you're going to get outplayed and you're going to look like the worst team. And I don't like feeling like that, but that's how it was. So, but anyways, with all that being said, that's it for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game today? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.